some things never change. In today's epistle, you have Paul writing to one of his church in Corinth. And what problem is he dealing with? He's dealing with people fighting and arguing and bickering and different groups clashing with each other. I mean, if you know the life of the church, and you probably grew up in the church, you probably know that this is a common experience and a common problem. So I want to dwell on this advice that Paul gives us. He's admonishing this community to put aside all these silly bickerings and arguments and excuses that people find in order to fight and break themselves up into different groups that are opposed to each other. And at the root of this, you see this, I find this almost funny when I hear it. Paul is repeating what's going on there. He's saying, some say I'm for Apollo and I'm for Paul, and Apollo was another missionary like Paul who traveled around also, and others, So everyone's kind of like picking sides, right? And we see this in the church, right? Like, I'm for English. Let's just do all English. And they're like, no, let's do Slavonic. Other people are like, oh, this is a Russian church. No, this is an American church, right? You have all these different groups like picking sides on different issues, right? And it doesn't matter what it is. Like if a church, if it's like we're gonna spend money on something, you're gonna have the yays and the nays, right? So no matter what you try to do, there is a natural inclination, especially in more dysfunctional parishes, to take hard and fast positions on things, right? And there's always this temptation to kind of put people into different camps, whether they're in that camp or not. We say, oh, he's liberal, or he's conservative, right? Or whatever it is, Oh, that person's a convert, that person's a credo, whatever it is. We find ways to divide ourselves. And Paul warns us how toxic and dangerous this is for a community. Because a community who's divided can't get any real work done. Right? Because what are we spending all of our energy on? Right? Like fighting and arguing and talking with each other about other people when they're not around, right? We spend all this energy doing something that's not just benign or meaningless, right? But actually something that's counterproductive to growing a community. And so Paul's trying to deal with this. Now, at the heart of it, what's going on in Corinth when you read it seems a little silly, right? And I think that captures this point. And there is a problem, and perhaps it's just a human problem, but I think in particular it's a problem within Orthodox churches, and it's this: pettiness, small-mindedness, right? Getting worked up and upset or concerned about things that in the big picture don't matter. Right? Oh, Lenny did one extra song in Slavonic. He did 4 instead of 3. So I'm going to get all worked up and I'm going to talk to somebody about it, right? Or, whatever, Father did this, right? Or whatever it is, so people will find something to get worked up over like that. Or, you know what, I spent all this time making all this food for coffee hour, and you know what, not a single person thanked me or complimented my food, right? So I'm gonna like hold that for a little while, right? Or maybe someone forgot my birthday, right? They didn't sing to me at church on my birthday, so I'm gonna get a little upset about that, Or I won't. So, right? We know what these things are. And so there's a great deal of pettiness. Whether it's people getting concerned over small, petty things about how the services are structured and liturgics, or whether it's petty, small, insignificant things that happen in the life of the church, at the root of it, it comes down to this: that we come to church and it's all about me, right? We come to church and I want to be complimented, and I want to be praised, and I want to be recognized, and I want to get some attention, and I want people to listen to me, and I want to feel important, and I, right? It becomes all about me and my feelings, and whether my feelings get hurt, right? And this is at the heart of people who are extremely sensitive or easily offended by things, right? People easily offended are petty people, right? And here's why. Because when you're easily offended by stuff, you're a little bit self-absorbed. And there's nothing smaller, right, than being only concerned about you. Think about it. There's like 7 billion people in the world, right? And you're concerned about one person. That's smallness. And I'll tell you what bigness is, okay? It's being concerned about other people. Because being concerned about something that's bigger than yourself, that's outside of yourself, that is the God, church, other people, that is the opposite of pettiness. And so when we have an attitude that is thinking about something besides ourselves, that's thinking about the big picture, about the things that really matter, right? So we can argue about how we want to structure our service, right? What kind of music we want, how I'm going to serve, and what colors we're going to use, and all this kind of stuff. But you know what? You know what's more important than that? People showing up to church, right? That's more important. And so there's all kinds of things like this in the life of the church where we get bogged down in the things that don't matter as much. You know? So we might get concerned about, like, some people get really picky about fasting. Oh, you know, this has like 2% whey in it somewhere, so I can't eat this, you know? When the real point of fasting, right, is to simplify your life, is to be able to give more money away to the poor, is to be able to have some sort of self-sacrifice where it makes you recognize and identify with people who are hungry, right? So if you're not doing that, who the hell cares about a little bit of whey and some little product somewhere, right? And so we have a real tendency as Orthodox, right, to really get down to the nitty-gritty, right? Really get obsessed about details of things. When we miss the big picture, like, are we praying from our heart, right? Do we actually love God? Are we grateful for things that we have? Are we coming to the church and truly expressing gratitude and love for others the best that we can? And are we really honestly working and giving of what we have in a way that really matters, that really has some sacrifice to it? Are we doing those things? Because those things are what grow churches. Those things are what matter. So let's not be like Corinth. Let's not argue about things that really don't matter. Let's keep our eyes on Jesus Christ and the love that he calls us to. Lord of Jesus Christ.
Lord.